Stocks trend upward as talks of the vaccine start to make market investors breathe a little bit easier. Elon Musk and Lily Wachowski get into a little bit of a tussle. Katie Hill calls out her ex in a long threaded tweet storm, and I'm going to go on a rant about that. You know what's coming. And some new information comes up in the Arbery case that kind of changes things. Plus, we will look at what restores my faith in humanity. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Apparently, we're not going to get newsfeed again today. That's lame because I had a picture to come up and show you guys here. But anyway, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. How was your weekend, everybody? We had a good Ed Talk. We had a lot of people in and given a lot of good insight and good questions on Ed Talk this weekend. Of course, we're always hoping to get more people in. I do hope at one point that the entire hour that I do Ed Talk is all answering questions and no more news discussion topics, but it does give me a good little chance to get some op-ed and opinion pieces out there as well. So thanks everybody who came by and asked a bunch of questions. And of course, thanks for the mods for taking care of some of the spammers who just kind of interrupt the flow of everything. So you guys rock, and thank you for coming in. But before we get started, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. You look over at the Freedom Scoop, we have got the generational gap. We've got the R-rated conservative. We've got Wyatt Birkenhoff. We've got Freckles and Britt. We've got Stephen Ignoramus, who will be going and watching immediately after we're done with all this. And we've got my shows as well. So go on over there. Head over there. Check us out. And it's a great time. We do love having you over there. And go and check out our merch. We're going to be adding some new stuff coming up here in the near future. Possibly some vinyl stickers for the back of your car. Possibly some sweatshirts. Possibly some more t-shirts. So go and check us out over there. So for starters today, we're going to look into the Investor's Business Daily. So, from Ellen R. Elliott to start out the day, Dow Jones today, futures rally as coronavirus data slows, Moderna soars on vaccine news, Boeing gets a Saudi boost. Stock futures reversed early losses Monday as some positive coronavirus metrics, and an ad come out in front of me. Buoyed confidence in the US and Europe. Biotech Moderna soared on positive vaccine news. Audio Codes and Nvidia staked out early leads on the IBD 50 list. Boeing and ExxonMobil topped the Dow Jones today. Dow Jones futures ran up 2% with S&P 500 futures jumped 1.9% above fair value. Nasdaq 100 futures rallied a more modest 1.3% in the stock market today, missing the added early boost from oil stocks. Small caps staged a furious pre-market rally with Russell 200 futures soaring 4.2% in early trade. Rebounding oil prices sent oil companies to 8 of the 15 largest pre-market advances among S&P 500 stocks. Cruise lines and airlines also packed the top of the index. On the Nasdaq, IBD leaderboard stocks Nvidia jumped 2.8%. Tesla scrambled ahead 2.9% as potential for a fourth manufacturing site in Austin, Texas, stirred the most recent debate over the volatile stock. Also on the Nasdaq, Marriott International jumped 2.6%. Marriott was on a list of more than half a dozen companies in which Saudi Arabia's $300 billion public investment fund said it had amassed stakes of more than $500 million. Among IBD 50 stocks, Israel-based Audio Codex rallied 3.6% in early trade. Gold miner Kirkland Lake knocked out a 4% gain. Biotech Moderna swept more than 28% higher in early trade. The Cambridge, Massachusetts-based reported positive results in a phase 2 clinical trial of its COVID-19 vaccine. Still not going to take it, folks. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still not going to take it. Moderna shares are up 85% from a mid-April breakout and have advanced 45% so far in April. Boeing jumps more than 3% to lead the Dow Jones today, after being named among the handful of U.S. stocks in which Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund has amassed stakes of more than $500 million. Dow Jones peers Walt Disney and Cisco Systems were also on the list, as were Marriott, Facebook, Citigroup, and Bank of America. It's amazing. States are opening up for tourism in the early parts of tourism season, and hotel stocks and Disney stocks are going up. It's incredible. It's like when you allow people to spend money, the stock market goes up. What a concept! Two Dow Jones names are currently on IBD's leaderboard list. United Health gained 1.4% in pre-market trade. The managed care provider ended Friday's session less than 5% from a 304.10 buy point in cup with handle base. Microsoft, also an IBD leaderboard stock, is in buy range above 180.10 buy point. The chase zone runs to 189.10. Microsoft stock rose 1.1% early Monday. Germany-based Trivago leapt 4%, and International Game Technology, based in the UK, both jumped nearly 10% on earnings early Monday. Once again, people are traveling. China's Baidu sailed 3.8% higher ahead of its first quarter report, due out today after day's close. The rebound in oil prices accelerated as Monday's slowdown in numbers stirred hopes for a rekindled energy demand. West Texas Intermediate soared more than 8%, bouncing to $32.04 a barrel, back above $30 for the first time since March 17th. Brent crude soared more than 6% to $34.52. Gold futures added 0.9%, traded above $17.71 an ounce. Copper jumped 2.3%. Silver and platinum were up more than 4% each. Markets across Asia booked solid gains. In Europe, benchmarks were rallying hard to get just past midday. London's FTSE 100 and CAC 40 in Paris were each up more than 2%. Frankfurt's DAX hammered out a 2.9% advance. So, that's going to be what IBD says about our stocks today. It looks like everything is going good. Like I say, now people are getting out, they're traveling, their cabin fever is up, and they're going to some of these tourist destinations, and some places that you wouldn't think about as being a tourist destination are becoming more of a tourist destination. I'm sure that certain parts of rural Wisconsin are going to start drawing people in from around the country because they can't go to Los Angeles anymore, but they can still come here and say they tried to drink a Wisconsinite under the table. It's never going to happen, but they can come out and say that they tried at least. Let's see the counterpoint over on CNBC. No, CNBC, I am not going to turn my ad blocker off for you. You try this every day, and I still say no every day, so. Stock futures extend gains after Moderna reports positive vaccines data. Dow futures up 650 points from Fred Imbert and Thomas Frank. Futures contracts tied to the major U.S. stock indices rose sharply Monday, rebounding from losses last week, as news from Moderna trial stoked optimism about a potential coronavirus vaccine. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures jumped 650 points, or 2.8%. S&P 500 futures added 2.6%. NASDAQ 100 futures were up 2%. Moderna shares rallied more than 26% after the company's reported positive phase 1 results for a potential coronavirus vaccine. The company said that after 2 doses, all 45 trial participants had developed coronavirus antibodies. 2 doses, you say? Which one has the RFID chip in it, I wonder? Shares of the companies that would benefit from the economy reopening also rose in the pre-market. Disney traded nearly 3% higher, while MGM Resorts traded 6% higher. Cruise operator Carnival gained 7.8%. Delta's and United Airlines both rose more than 7%, along with American. Comments from the Federal Reserve chief also added to the bullish sentiment. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said to CBS's 60 Minutes that there's a lot we can do to help the economy. We've done what we can as we go, but I will say that we're not out of ammunition by a long shot. No, there's really no limit to what we can do with these lending programs that we have. The central bank leader also said he's highly confident the U.S. economy will claw back from the current pullback, but warned it may not fully recover until COVID-19 vaccine is complete. The vaccine! The vaccine! The vaccine! Don't fight the Fed, wrote Fundstrat's Tom Lee to clients after the interview. The NASDAQ Composite and S&P 500 fell 1.1% and 2.2% respectively last week, with the latter notching its worst week since March. Oh wow, that's going back a while. The Dow Industrials finished the week down 2.65% for its third negative week in its its worst week since April 3rd. So even NBC is coming out and saying, yeah, this is going to come back and we're going to be pretty close to where we were by the end of this, which, it makes me feel good. If NBC is saying that we actually might get back to normalcy sometime in the near future instead of the Orange Man bad economy crash, then you can't ignore it anymore. It looks like it's coming. And the crypto guys are going to keep saying that the economy is going to crash and it's going to crash and it's going to crash. But, people want to go to work and they want to spend money. And we have seen evidence that we could see the supply chain going back to normal at some point too. So there's a lot to look at in this, and it's a lot of good news. So it's good, worth checking this out. All right, getting into some of the news for the day outside of the stocks. From Fox News, from Sam Dorman, citing coronavirus, Justin Amash announces he won't run for president. And those of you who are Ed Talk viewers already know how I feel on this, but we'll go over it a bit again. But let's see what Fox News has to say. Representative Justin Amash announced Saturday he will not run in the 2020 presidential election due to challenges posted by the coronavirus during the campaign season. Yeah, there's that and the fact that nobody believes right now that you're a libertarian either. I believe that you're a libertarian, but nobody else in their right mind does for reasons that I don't know if I have to explain to you. Gary Johnson, Bill Weld. I've spent nearly 3 weeks assessing the race, appearing in media, talking to delegates and donors, watching the LP's convention plan unfold, and gathering feedback from family, friends, and other advisors, Amash tweeted. After much reflection, I've concluded that circumstances don't lend themselves to my success as a candidate for president this year, and therefore I will not be a candidate. What do you think Hillary got to him? Now, I've cited my fact that I don't think he should run because he's going to have the Gary Johnson effect. He's going to continue to be out there and be another washed-up Republican that's running as a libertarian to go straight for the presidency, which, once again, I don't necessarily understand why it's always straight for the presidency, why they're never taking any of these lower seats. I said that over on Ed Talk this weekend, but I do remember when I looked around Twitter on Friday and Saturday, after Amash said he was going to drop out, a lot of the Democratic faithful were out there saying that it's a good thing he got out because all he was going to do was take votes away from Biden. And therefore Biden couldn't go out and beat the Orange Man. Even though I don't think MSNBC even thinks that Biden can beat the Orange Man at this point. The Twitter mob was out there saying that Amash was just going to take votes away from Biden. He wasn't going to take votes from anywhere else in the world. And I'm thinking that the DNC got to him and said, we're going to give you an offer that you can't refuse. Either you sign this contract saying you're not going to run in 2020, either your signature is going to be on this piece of paper or your brains are. And then, of course, he will die in a tragic suicide with a braided paper-thin sheet from 3 feet up off the ground. Or some other methodology that the Clintons like to use. Let's read on. Amash famously left the Republican Party amid strong disagreement with President Trump. After switching to independent, Amash joined the House Democrats in voting to impeach Trump last year over his communications with Ukraine. On Twitter, Amash indicated that the current pandemic would substantially hinder his ability to succeed as the Libertarian Party's nominee, and not the fact that 5 seconds ago you were a Republican, and you've never won a race on the national level as a Libertarian. The new reality of social distancing levels the playing field among the candidates in many respects, Amash tweeted, but it also means lesser-known candidates are more dependent on adequate media opportunities to reach people. You are one of the best-known candidates in the LP right now, you moron. He added that fundraising challenges posed by an idled economy will hinder advertising. While he expressed confidence in the party's future, Amash said that lingering uncertainty regarding ratification of online voting, the feasibility of 50-state ballot access and related legal challenges, and unity after the nomination have also weighed heavily on me. All right. I'm going to do one more aside and then we're going to jump out of this article because I'm going to spend a fair amount of time ranting on the Katie Hill thing. But we're going to do one more aside to this. So, if 50-state ballot access was the only driver for actually running for an LP nomination, there would be no Libertarian Party right now because there are states like California And California actually will let them on there. Let's use another example. There are states like Illinois that are not going to let anybody outside of the duopoly get on there because of the fact that they might take votes away from their precious Democrats. Colorado and Wyoming for the opposite reason, because there aren't enough people out there that live outside of the duopoly in Wyoming for there to be ballot access. If ballot access was the kicker, there would be no Libertarian Party. These people are actually very idealistic, and they want to get in and make the change no matter what the obstacle. And they will spend the time, money, and treasure to get in there and do it. And I have a lot of respect for the Libertarian Party because of that. Even if they don't have full-on ballot access, they're still getting out there and trying. And for Amash to come out and say that because he doesn't have 50-state ballot access, he's not going to run for the presidency, just shows that he is not the libertarian that he's trying to convince the world that he is right now. And there's a damn good reason he's not running for president right now, because he, once again, like Kokesh said on my show last week, he's just going to be another Gary Johnson. And they've had that for 4 cycles in a row. A washed up Republican running on the Libertarian ticket because he couldn't make it in the Republican Party anymore. So, I don't know why you needed an exploratory committee to figure that out. I figured it out without any time and treasure. Just from analyzing the situation, I figured it out, and I didn't spend a dime on it. So, there's your free advice, Admash. Like I said, right from the beginning, run for your House seat for a couple more terms and run in 2024. Run as a Libertarian in 2024, because at that point you know that you can get elected as a Libertarian if you can hold on to your seat for 2 more terms. But nope, unfortunately that's the Libertarian way, is that they have to go straight to the presidency. Let's talk about Elon Musk and Lily Wachowski, who used to be Larry Wachowski, by the way. Elon Musk, take the red pill. Ivanka Smiles, taken. Matrix creator, fuck both of you. This is from Hank Berrien over at the Daily Wire. On Sunday morning, Tesla CEO Elon Musk created quite a stir when he apparently referenced the film The Matrix, tweeting, "Take the red pill," in what was interpreted by some people as a clarion call to leftists and liberals to wake up to reality and become conservatives. That's not what take the red pill means, and I find it hilarious that Ivanka, of all people, thinks that she's taking the red pill right now. And Elon, I could believe a little bit, but Ivanka thinking she's taking the red pill? No. No, that's not what's happening here. Let's read on. That prompted Ivanka Trump to reply on Twitter with a single word, taken. Ivanka's reply elicited a harsh reply from Lily Wachowski, one of the creators of The Matrix. Fuck both of you. As the Daily Wire reported, in late April, Musk urged governors across the nation to start opening their states for business, tweeting, "Free America now. Give the people their freedom back," and responded to an article in the Texas Tribune titled, "Texas restaurants, retailers, and other businesses can reopen Friday. Here's the rules they have to follow," by tweeting, "Bravo, Texas." Days later, speaking on a Tesla earnings call on Wednesday, Musk ramped up his rhetoric about shelter-in-place orders around the nation, calling them fascist, according to The Verge. He reportedly continued, "If someone wants to stay in the house, that's great. They should be allowed to stay in the house and they should not be compelled to leave. But to say they cannot leave their house and they will be arrested if they do so, this is fascist. This is not democratic. This is not freedom. Give the people back their goddamn freedom. Everything people have worked for all their lives is being destroyed in real time. I think people are going to be very angry about this and are very angry." I don't want to unpack this just yet because we got to talk about something else before we go and do this. So, from NBC News, the similar story here, Matrix co-creator Lily Wachowski slams Ivanka Trump, Elon Musk, for using her movie reference. The internet dust-up came after the Tesla and SpaceX CEO tweeted, "Take the red pill," with an emoji of a red rose. Which I don't understand that either, because unless he's actually calling out the red rose people, the red rose is a symbol that you are a democratic socialist. So, I don't know if he knows that. He's kind of a crazy dude, that Elon Musk guy. By Variety, which tells me they're not going to give me an author on this. Matrix co-creator Lily Wachowski wasn't happy that Elon Musk and Ivanka Trump were quoting her movie. On Sunday morning, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO posted a cryptic tweet saying, "Take the red pill," with an emoji of a red rose. As most movie buffs know, "Take the Red Pill" is a reference from the movie The Wachowski Sisters, formerly the Wachowski brothers, sci-fi blockbuster The Matrix. In the movie, Morpheus reveals to the protagonist, Neo, that he's been living in a computer simulation. He offers Neo a choice: take a blue pill and go back to his life and forget about everything, or take a red pill and learn the truth about the Matrix and its fake reality. However, the phrase "take the red pill" has taken on a new meaning in internet subculture, and it usually refers to conservative political beliefs. No, it doesn't. But keep on peddling that duopoly, NBC. It can now mean shifting one's political alignment to the right, and it's often used in internet forums related to President Donald Trump or men's rights groups. No! 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 Musk's tweets drew plenty of controversy in the comments and had more than 190,000 likes by Sunday afternoon. Ivanka Trump then quoted Taken on Musk's tweet, prompting Wachowski to reply, "Fuck the both of you." Wachowski then shared a link to the LGBTQ social service Brave Space Alliance, urging people drawn by viral tweets to donate. So, there are just a dozen problems with this. I can't believe I'm going to rant this much on this show, because the next story that I have up here is just I'm going to go off on that one too, but you know nothing about what you guys are talking about. Even you, Wachowski. And you made the goddamn movie. So, in The Matrix, when you take the red pill, when they decide that it's time to free you from the Matrix, when the people that are freed from the Matrix come out and find minds to free out of this, they offer the person that they're working with a choice. And as they mentioned with Reeves' character, Neo, the choice was, you take the blue pill. You take the blue pill, your story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. Or you take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. The red pill is a part of a trace program in the movie because, of course, human beings, for those of you who have never seen the movie, which I don't know how you couldn't have at this point, human beings are set into a pod where they're fueling the machines out there. They're living in a simulation, so their body continues to create bioelectrical energy for them to give out to the machines. Taking the red pill turns off the simulation. It disconnects the mind from the simulation, and it shows them what the real world looks like through their actual senses. Now, my problem with the fact that Ivanka Trump got into this, Elon, I have less of a problem with on this. The problem I have with Ivanka Trump coming out and doing this, and I actually think Wachowski is a bit justified with this, is the fact that I've looked at some of the MAGA stuff over on Twitter. Some of the people that have MAGA right in their handle. Some of the people who are Donald Trump no matter what. Some of the people who almost religiously idolize the president right now. And there are people out there, and you all know some of those people over on Twitter. You absolutely do. They're blue-pilled just as much as the left is at this point. They're just blue-pilled in a different way. They are blindly following the simulation that's put in front of them, whether it comes from a New York real estate billionaire or a lifelong politician that heads up the House of Representatives right now. These people are blue-pilled in the same way. Taking the red pill came to be a symbol of thinking for yourself, breaking free of the machine entirely, and drawing your own conclusions, whichever direction they go. And when I started drawing my conclusions, I was drawn out to the Republican Party. I understand that too, but given the political aspects of the last 4 years, I have seen evidence to say that taking the red pill is no longer just going for a Republican. It's deeper than that at this point because the simulation goes in both political parties at this point. And it's just ironic that Ivanka Trump is coming out and jumping on board saying she's red pilled when she is, in fact, one of the leaders of this entire movement and this entire thing. So, no. Wachowski, you were absolutely right to go after Ivanka on this. Like I said, I think Musk is thinking a little bit more for himself on this, but Ivanka, no. No, she is the other shepherd that's leading the sheep to slaughter. All right. Let's jump off of that here and let's go on my next rant. So, Katie Hill. As those of you who've been paying attention to the news of my show know, Katie Hill's seat just got flipped back from Democrat to Republican. Now, it had been Republican for a very long time. It's a reliably Republican seat. Katie Hill managed to take it away, and of course, there's a lot of tinfoil going out there that says, okay, yeah, she cheated to get this. I don't know the politics of that particular congressional, that particular congressional district. I don't know any of the politics behind that, or any of the tinfoil, or anything else that goes along with that. I just know what basically I can glean out of Twitter and the mainstream media. But statistically, this was a reliable Republican seat. It was just flipped to blue for Katie Hill to be elected to that. And for the first time in 20 years in California history, it has flipped back to Republican. A blue seat has flipped back to a Republican seat. That is a very rare occurrence in the state of California, especially given the way that the state runs at this point. So Katie Hill decided that she was going to go up on a rant about all of this and screech about what was going on with that and how it all happened here. So I'm going to read the tweet thread and then I'm going to set the record straight on all of this because, of course, we all know that she is attempting to put her own spin on the narrative of what happened to her back in October. So, at 6:29 p.m. Central Time, of course, May 17th, 2020, Katie Hill, at Katie Hill for CA. So, yeah, it really hurt to have my old seat flip back to Republican for a ton of people and also for me. In fact, it was pretty fucking devastating. I went offline and cried for a few days. But, as always, getting ready to stand back up and keep fighting. Hope you are too. Onward. Hill continues. Let's be clear. My ex gave non-consensual nude pics of me to people who wanted this seat. Alright, I'm going to finish reading. People who were backing Garcia when he was my opponent. They gave those pics to the press. I resigned. No, I'm going to finish the thread. I take full responsibility for my mistakes, but this Republican win is no coincidence. To Christie for CA25, House Democrats, CA25, my former staff, and everyone who worked so hard to flip this seat, I'm so sorry. I knew I let you down, and I reflect my role in it every day. Know that I'm here, ready to work. Let's take the seat back in November. CA25 deserves it. Now, I've already made my piece over why it's so infuriating, the fact to think about that the seat flipped. No, let's back that up just a second here. I've already made my piece known as to why in God's name are we even having special elections right now. I cannot understand that except for a rallying cry to get people out to the polls come November in one way or the other. That's the only reason I can think of the fact that we're having special elections to fill these seats because, I mean, it is May 18th right now, which means in less than 6 months we are going to go and have the official election and get these seats filled. Now, I could understand if this was in February she got caught, a month after inauguration, we can go out and have a special election for that. I can understand and see that. But most of these House seats go unfilled for, if somebody retires out of a House seat, these House seats go unfilled for the rest of the term. And this goes back for Wisconsin 7 too, because it was the same concern. Excuse me, now I have hiccups, and now I'm going to try and talk over them. So, given the fact that it's 6 months out to an election, why spend the money on having another election and having a special election? Just let the seat go vacant. But this has been a rallying cry for Republicans out in the country, and I do think it's going to show. There's a good chance that it shows without some massive voter fraud out there. This is what's going to happen in the country and nationally, both for the popular vote and for the electoral vote. But here's the biggest problem that we have going along with all of this here. So the second tweet, the one that pissed me off a couple times, is just really what drove me over the edge here. Let's be clear, my ex gave non-consensual pics of me to the people who wanted this seat. No, that is not what happened. Back in October, somebody caught Katie Hill diddling one of our staff. That is against House rules, and she was doing it with multiple members of her staff, both men and women at the same time. She was nailing her way through her entire staff office at the time. You can't do that, and that is against House rules to do that. And God forbid if that had been a man doing the same thing, we would still be hearing about it to this day. No man would be able to get elected to anything right now if a man was doing what Katie Hill was doing. But she's a freshman, first-time congresswoman. She just wanted to get on the squad. That was her whole reason for getting up into the seat to begin with. And I have heard this from people that live in her district, that she doesn't give a damn about her district at all. She just wants to get up into Washington and be that orange man bad person. And do keep in mind the fact that one of the last things that she did was to vote for the impeachment of President Trump. And she made sure that right before that was the day she resigned, she cast that vote. And she didn't vote for the impeachment. She wasn't in there for that. But she voted for to open up the investigation. That was her last act as a sitting congressperson. She did that, and she immediately resigned afterward in a tear-filled speech talking about this. But this has nothing to do with the fact that her nudie pictures were leaked out. And I saw this last night, and I just wanted to scream at the screen. Of course, I'm sure that my neighbors would have looked at me funny if they'd heard that and seen that. I'm sure somebody would have been knocking at my door at that point. Because this had absolutely nothing to do with the nudie pictures. In fact, I'm pretty positive that Husbandman was paid off by either Pelosi or Katie Hill to release these pictures because they were already public domain on a wife swap site. But I'm sure that Husbandman was paid off good money to go and release these out because it had already come out at that point that she was diddling the help, and none of that was good because, of course, it was against the House rules, and it gave Republicans ammunition that they could come out and say exactly what I just said. Well, if this was a man, it would have been this, and you guys say that both sexes are equal. Well, you need to treat both sexes equal. That is exactly what would have come out of this, and because of that happening, the pictures came out obviously to deflect things, and I'm pretty sure that Mrs. Pelosi, Mrs. $15 a pint ice cream, came up behind Katie Hill and clapped her on the shoulder and says, "You're going to retire from your seat right now, or I'm going to make your life a living hell. You better get the hell up out of here." So, no, this has absolutely nothing to do with non-consensual nude photos, and the fact that she is still clinging to that argument to try and give herself grace over the fact that she willfully and knowingly broke House rules is just absolutely disgusting. And the scandal flip obviously happened, and it's a good thing that it happened because, anytime that one party has a scandal in a seat, it usually flips to the other side. Look at the Iraq War if you want proof of that. And the fact that the mainstream press made it very, 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 very easy for Obama to claim that he was scandal-free, even though we're finding out much, much more about that as we go along. But no, this had nothing to do with nudie pics. This had nothing to do with nudie pics. But keep telling yourself that, Hill. And keep trying to run on that, too, in November, because I do want to see Garcia stay in your seat. And that is going to be the absolute best way for that to happen. So, yeah, just keep on doing that. All right, next one here. We actually have a good reason to like AOC. AOC owes $2,000 in unpaid taxes from failed business venture. This is from Carl Campanile over at the New York Post. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to raise taxes on the rich, just not pay her own. Hey, you know what? Taxation is theft, so good for her. Except for the fact that she wants to stick it in our asses over it, but You know what? She has at least somewhat of the right idea. The Democratic Socialist Congresswoman from the Bronx still hasn't paid a 7-year-old tax bill left over from a failed business venture. AOC had founded Brook Avenue Press, a publishing house that sought designers, artists, and writers from urban areas to help paint the Bronx in a positive way in children's stories in 2012. Which, what, new victims for mugging? Is that what you're trying to bring in? And that's why you want to paint it in a positive light? As the Post previously reported, public records show the state dissolved the company in October 2016. The state can make such a move when a business fails to pay corporate taxes or file a return. The state tax department then filed a warrant against the now defunct business on July 16, 2017, over a $1,618.36 unpaid bill. As of Friday, the tax warrant still had not been satisfied, and the outstanding balance had grown to $2,088.78. The department said. She just thinks she's better than everyone else. Clearly, she's worse, said Hank Sheenkopf, a spokesman for AOC's chief June primary race opponent, Michelle Caruso Cabrera, to the Post. But Ocasio-Cortez's camp says the rep is challenging the 2088-78 bill because it was issued in error. And taxation is theft. The Congresswoman is still in the process of contesting the tax warrant. The business has been closed for several years now, so we believe that the state tax department has continued to collect the franchise tax in error, says Lauren Hitt, an AOC spokeswoman. As anyone who's tried to contest a tax bill in error knows, it takes time, Hitt added. AOC, a first-term incumbent, will face Democratic voters in June 23rd primary in the 14th Congressional District, covering portions of the Bronx and Queens. She shocked the political world when she toppled ex-congressman and former Queens Democratic Party chairman Joe Crowley in the 2018 Democratic primary. So, I mean, she doesn't want to pay her taxes. Yes, she wants the rest of us to pay 100% of our taxes and then just take back whatever the government deems worthy for us to get, but rules for thee and not for me, maybe? I don't know. But, yeah. At least she knows that taxes suck. Maybe then she'll stop trying to impose them on the rest of us. Who knows? No, she probably won't. Well, actually, she probably will, because barring some miracle or Caruso Cabrera failing to pull it together in June, I don't think Ocasio-Cortez has that seat come November. Because there's both the fact that Caruso Cabrera is a much more skilled speaker, politician, and has much more sane ideas, and New York is going to lose a seat in the census, and I think they're going to lose that one. I think that's going to be the one that they get rid of. All right, next one. From Fox News, and this is an opinion piece. From Liz Peek. Get rid of the Ingraham angle trying to play here. As coronavirus and Biden fade, Trump and his economy get good news. This is an opinion piece. Please keep in mind this is not green check verified news. The New York Times recently ran a piece declaring that a pandemic can end not because a disease has been vanquished, but because people grow tired of panic mode and learn to live with the disease. According to the article, that's what history tells us, and that seems to be where we are now. People in the Northeast are celebrating the arrival of summer weather by meeting up outside bars at happy hour and streaming to local beaches. Families are gathering in backyards to cook outside while their kids play with garden hoses. The relief is palpable. It doesn't feel like winter is over right now, or at least summer is here yet. It is. I have the window open in the kitchen right now, and I'm actually starting to feel just a little bit chilled here because of it. But that goes along with the fact that on Friday it was over 70 degrees when I got out of work at 6 p.m., and I hit those trails as hard as I could because I knew that it was going to turn around and start getting cold again. People in other states have lifted lockdown regulations and are venturing out to restaurants and back to work, happy to be free. Yes, we still have to protect the vulnerable and be careful, but increasingly people seem to be ready to challenge this virus and get on with their lives. What joy! This is great news for the economy, for our well-being, and for President Trump. The lift in spirits is confirmed recently by the latest University of Michigan consumer sentiment reading, which came in better than expected. The index rose 73% in May, up from 71% in April, and well above the Dow Jones estimate of 65. Moreover, the index of current economic conditions soared to 83 from 74.3. Undoubtedly, some of the gain reflected the dispersal of CARES checks, but it also likely reflected the reawakening of activity. Nothing could be more important. It is confidence that drives spending, which in turn drives growth. Rising optimism and a snapback in the economy are also essential to Trump's re-election prospects. He was set to campaign on booming job creation and rising incomes when the virus upended our society and threw millions out of work, all in the space of just a few months. Democrats, of course, have fastened on to the crippled economy and massive unemployment, hoping the collapse would unseat the president. Campaign junkies on the left have been busily writing the incumbent's political obituary, confident the coronavirus will bring him down. Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post recently published a piece entitled "Trump's Damage is Already Done. He May Not Be Able to Save Himself." Jennifer Rubin, as you remember, is the conservative over in the Washington Post. As a result, presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden has focused on making the 2020 election a referendum on President Trump. He and his media allies are convinced that voters will punish the president for our nation's 80,000 plus COVID-19 deaths, the horrific economic costs of the shutdown, and also, well, for being Trump. Are they right? No, a few data points suggest the president remains on solid ground. First, the latest Gallup poll puts Trump's approval rating at 49%. Outlier poll, matching the highest level recorded during his time in office. At this time, or at the same point in his presidency, President Barack Obama stood at 47% approval. Aggregated. Also, two recent congressional elections delivered good news for the GOP and for President Trump. Republican Mike Garcia flipped a Democrat-held seat in California's purple 25th district. Red. An area north of Los Angeles, defeating the state assemblywoman Christy Smith. The race was left to fill a seat left vacant by the resignation of Katie Hill. The election for the full term will be held in November. It was the first time since 1998 that a Republican had taken back a California seat held by Democrats, though historically a GOP stronghold. The suburban area now hosts 6% more registered Democrats than Republicans. Hillary Clinton won the district by 7 points. Clinton, Obama, and other Dem notables came out to support Smith to no avail. And yeah, we're going to go out and look at some more of the news that we talked about over the past week. So, yeah, Liz Peek seems to think this is going to be good news for the president. I do happen to agree at this point, especially with the numbers that we're seeing out of the Dow Jones. And I mean, it's hovering over 24,000 at this point, which means that we're halfway back to where we were in just a few days, almost. It didn't seem like it took that long to jump back up there. So we're halfway back. I don't think we're going to get back to 29,000 by the end of the year, but 29,000 is within reach at least. It's something we could get back to. So, yeah, I do think this is good news for the president. Not that I'm really thrilled about him being the president anymore after the whole re-up of the Patriot Act that he signed back into law. But you know what? I'm also looking at lesser of two evils right now, and until a viable third-party challenger comes up and is able to do it, this is also going to be the one thing that's standing in the way of the progressive agenda right now. And it also gives the Democrats a chance to realize that the progressive agenda doesn't work and purge those assholes out of their system entirely. And then we'll have a JFK Democratic Party again, and possibly two viable parties that can contest each other and hold each other to account without the mainstream media holding water for one of them. All right, next one we have here from NBC News. I wouldn't vote for me if I believed Tara Reade, Biden says about sexual harassment allegations. The former vice president said he didn't remember Reade, who worked for him for less than a year in 1993. Didn't I read this on Friday? No, I didn't read this one on Friday. 2 decades into Biden's 36-year Senate tenure. Former Vice President Joe Biden, after again emphatically denying the claim of a former staffer that he sexually assaulted her nearly 3 decades ago, acknowledged for the first time on Thursday the dilemma now facing some potential supporters in November, saying they should vote with their heart. I did read this, yes, because I remember on Friday Biden talking about the fact that Biden said that he wouldn't vote for him if you believe it. Yeah, I read this one already. But going on with that, of course, and the fact that we are arguing over who's going to win and who's going to lose at this point here, I do want to point something out from Real Clear Politics. Let me get this refreshed here because, of course, they are crying about my ad blocker. So one of the things that I go away. Okay, we're not going to read that then. Screw you guys. So I do remember what it said though before we went out of here. When we looked at this, we look at Real Clear Politics and we look at everything because there was another CNN article that I chose not to give CNN the airtime for because they are holding water for Biden at this point. They came out and said that Biden wins every state by massive margins, massive 3 and 4 point margins. He wins every state by. And of course, this is showing the national sentiment because this means that Biden's going to win no matter what. Landslide, 100%, 2020 down. Biden is nationally ahead by about 4.3 points. He just slipped again. He just dropped down, he slipped again, and he is slipping out of favor with the American people because he can't string a sentence together, he can't hold rallies, and he can't do the digital campaigning. And he looks off to the camera. All of his digital campaign events are filled with technical errors and all kinds of other stuff that somebody like me, who's got a webcam on top of a 24-inch TV next to a laptop in his living room, have figured out how to fix. With unlimited resources, the Biden camp can't figure out how to fix any of this, and I know how to fix it from here. So yes, of course, if you look at some of the skewed polls, yeah, you're going to see that Biden is ahead in most states at this point. But if you look at the betting odds right now, and Vegas hates to lose money. And that's one of the things I like about the fact that Real Clear Politics, in spite of the fact that, yes, they have their ad blocker shit up there, but they not only have all the polling up there, but they've got the Vegas betting odds on everything too. And Vegas hates to lose money. And right now the Vegas odds are looking at 41.7 points to Biden and 50.3 points to Trump. And, you know, I trust them just a little bit more than I trust any of the polls that are coming out of CNN. So that's something that we got to look into. And yeah, I'm not turning my ad blocker off for you, RCP, because that's the only way that I can put RCP up on here and not have it drag down my CPU so far that I can't do anything. All right, next one. We're going to talk a bit about the unmasking. There wasn't a lot of development over the weekend on that, but we'll talk a bit about what happened there from Fox News again, from Joseph A. Wolfson. CNN, MSNBC quickly dismissed Flynn unmasking revelations as Trump-fueled conspiracy theory. Because, of course, that's how they have to make sure that they don't get called out and caught in the water of the fact that they covered up for this. I wouldn't be surprised if they knew. There has been an effort by the mainstream media to dismiss the declassified unmasking requests of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn as a right-wing conspiracy theory. On Wednesday, Republican lawmakers released the list that came from the office of acting DNI Richard Grenell, showing several top Obama officials who had made dozens of requests. Wow, I can read. Requests to unmask Flynn between November 2016 and January 2017, before President Trump's inauguration. Among those on the list were former Vice President Joe Biden, former FBI Director James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, Samantha Power, Jack Lew, who was former Treasury Secretary. I'm sure that not everybody knows that one like we know the rest of those names, and former White House Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough. Newsbusters managing editor Curtis Hawk knocked the liberal cable news outlet for depicting the controversy surrounding the unmasking as illegitimate, telling Fox News it's a real story. CNN and MSNBC truly believe they can pull a fast one over their viewers by suggesting that their years of Trump-Russia collusion coverage was entirely legitimate while declaring any support to the unmasking list is akin to fake news conspiracy, Hawk said. Which is right, and of course there are going to be people that fall completely into this at this point and actually believe what's going on with this, but this is also, you have to keep in mind, the network that for the last 3 months that has said, Be afraid, never stop being afraid, and never leave your house again. But yes, there are still people that believe them as well. There are still people that unironically use MSNBC as an unbiased news source. When the news broke on Wednesday, a CNN panel quickly dismissed the release of the list as a partisan effort by Trump and his supporters on Capitol Hill, and that the conduct of the Obama officials was perfectly legitimate. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez refuted that Republican lawmakers who had sounded the alarm amid the revelations of those who had sought to identify Flynn in classified transcripts during the transition period. According to the Republicans, they think that there is some suspicion here that Americans' names were being unmasked or being revealed in these intelligence reports from the NSA, and they believe that this shows a plot to bring down President Trump's incoming administration. What they don't show us any of that, Perez told CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer. These documents don't show any political... Jesus fucking Christ. They actually believe that. These documents don't show any political motivations. It doesn't show us that anybody who shouldn't have had access to the information was getting access to it. Let me see if I can make this clear for you, Perez. Members of the Obama administration, and there's no evidence, of course, that it was Obama himself, but it would be really, really hard to believe that he knew nothing, considering everybody else who knew about it. Members of the Obama administration conducted a warrantless anti-Fourth Amendment search on an American citizen. And you don't see a problem with that, which is probably why they've convinced so many people it's okay for them to go after Trump's tax records without a warrant as well. Citing, oh, well, there's some warrant from Southern District of New York. Well, that's been shut down in state Supreme Courts as well. So, no, there's no warrant for this. That, too, is a warrantless search, but since when does the Fourth Amendment matter to anybody on the left anymore at this point? CNN legal analyst Carrie Cordero described the breaking news on Wednesday as a 100% contrived scandal, insisting that all the requests were lawful and appropriate. This is absolutely 100% politics, and really, in the current environment, given what's going on in the country, I think it's a really disgraceful abuse of the declassification system and an unfair disparaging of the intelligence community process. Weren't you the people that said the Obama administration was the most transparent administration in all of history? That they had 100% full transparency, and now you're knocking down the declassification system that is putting transparency on this? CNN political correspondent John King suggested that President Trump used a similar political tactic during the 2016 election, when then-candidate Trump pointed to innuendo regarding the Clinton email scandal as a way to depict his political opponents as untrustworthy as him, calling it a gimmick. What does it say to you that the president, who has been in office for more than 3 years, that he's still obsessing over President Obama, calling it Obamagate, at one point saying Obama committed the biggest political crime in American history? Pretty sure Nixon still has that, and FDR. Pretty sure that they still hold bigger political crimes at this point, but yeah, let's go with that. What does that say to you? Blitzer asked. It says that he believes his path to in politics has always been grievances. Find an enemy, throw your grievance against that person. King responded, right now, if you look at the poll, he has a very competitive election, but even his own campaign is alarmed when he's looking to change the subject, and when he's looking to air his grievances, he often goes back to the prior administration. Now, President Obama has been a favorite target. Bush economy. Remember that? Yeah, it's still the Bush economy. Since day one, President Obama's vice president is now the presumptive Democratic nominee, which, once again, I do believe is trying to make sure that they still say that the impeachment inquiry into Ukraine was legitimate, is the only reason that they have Biden at the top of that ticket right now. All right. That's enough of that. So yes, we understand what's going on there and why the mainstreams are saying that this is just a bunch of conspiracy theory hogwash. All right. Last one here, and then we'll do something that restores my faith in humanity, and we'll get on out of here. From Fox News, Ahmaud Arbery case. Text suggests Georgia police enlisted help from suspect months before shooting, report says. This is from Peter Aitken over at Fox News. New text messages suggest police may have informally deputized one of the suspects in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, while protesters demand the resignation of Georgia prosecutors for mishandling the investigation. Arbery, 25, was running through a Brunswick neighborhood on February 23rd when he was fatally shot. Greg and Travis McMichael, father and son, respectively, were arrested 2 months later after video purportedly leaked by Greg himself showed the confrontation that resulted in Arbery's death. Arbery is an African American and the McMichaels are white. Both men have been charged with felony murder and aggravated assault on Arbery. Text messages first obtained by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution show an exchange between police and a private citizen concerning a private construction site located 1 block away from where Arbery was shot. It is the same construction site where Arbery was seen on surveillance footage before his death. I still don't have any confirmation of that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to discount it, but I also don't have confirmation. It's one of those Schrodinger's pieces of evidence. Larry English, who owns the construction site, reached out to the police in December concerning trespassers on the property. English maintained a motion-activated camera system that sent alerts to a video clip whenever the camera is activated. Officer Robert Rash of the Glynn County Police Department responded on December 20th to English's concerns, suggesting the text exchange that Greg McMichael could help. Your neighbor at XX Satilla Drive is Greg Michael. Greg is a retired law enforcement and also a retired investigator from the DA's office, the text Officer Rash read. He said, please call him day or night when you get action on your camera. McMichael retired last year as an investigator with the Brunswick District Attorney's Office. WSB-TV Channel 2 Action News separately investigated the text, speaking to English's lawyer, J. Elizabeth Grady. She claimed that English did get the text message on December 20th, but he did not see it until recently, suggesting that English did not ask McMichael to police the property for him. When I saw the text, I immediately understood that an organization had been developing in the neighborhood since at least December. Grady told Channel 2, it appears that Gregory McMichael had been informally deputized by the Glynn County Police Department. That just makes this all worse. LeGrand's police chief, Lou Deckmer, the past president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, voiced a concern that officers seemingly offloaded what was a legitimate police call onto an effectively private citizen. I'm not aware of any accepted policy for referring someone that requires a police response to delegate that response to a former law enforcement officer who happens to live in the neighborhood, said Deckmer. Deckmer further noted that it gives the perception that McMichael had a relationship with a local law enforcement community tasked with investigating the shooting. Yeah, you think? This is corruption, top level. And of course, this is going to continue to become the racially divided story here, but this is corruption, top level. Big time corruption, and this whole police department needs a complete cleaning at this point because it is a mess over there with everything that we're coming and finding out about this. This is an absolute mess. I'm pretty positive at this point that there are going to be more arrests that go along with this. And a lot of top level brass at this police department are going to get cleaned out. There's a relationship with the police officer by the people that investigated the shooting. That is not. Oh, man. I mean, this wasn't a justified shooting to begin with, and it wasn't even a justified citizen's arrest, but the fact that the police department referred them to go out to McMichael on top of this, and then they went out and investigated, and they found nothing wrong, and he ran free for a month and a half. I said at the beginning that this had no business being a national news story, and I stand by that. But now that the facts are coming, now that it's in the public eye and the facts are coming out, we can't ignore this anymore. And we do need to get back and watch this because, like I said, the mainstream's tried to put this out to make this the next racial division, to try and put the country in a state of agitation because the COVID the COVID thing failed and people are not scared of it anymore. So now they're trying to go out back into racist, apparently. They got bored with sexism, they got bored with impeachment, they got bored with COVID, so now they're going back to racism again. And this should have stayed a local story, but now that the genie is out of the bottle, man, and honestly, I do hope that this leads into some investigations of other police departments as well, because this, I guarantee, is not the only corrupted police department in the country. Get some of this, if we have to have police, get some of this cleaned out, because this one hand washes the other bullshit is going to get innocent people killed and get innocent people dragged off to the gulags. And we've already got enough incentive out there for people to get dragged off to the gulags. So yes, this does not show anything good at all. And that is going to be it for news, and now we're going to talk about something that restores my faith in humanity. And I'm a little bit sad here because, for whatever reason, my screen share didn't work for this. Otherwise, we'd be looking at the news articles while I was reading this. But to restore my faith in humanity today, we're going to look at, I had a picture up here, of course, of a bar that was packed. Because immediately after the decision to remain closed was overturned in Wisconsin, the Tavern League came out and said, hey guys, open up your bars as quick as you can because, hey, you can do it now. You can start making money again. Now, of course, the Twitter mob was out there saying, oh, well, Wisconsin's forcing its businesses to open and bring customers in and get everybody sick with coronavirus, which isn't the case. It absolutely isn't. They got the government out of the way so the government or the people could go out and enjoy themselves in a regular, normal fashion. But the people, and I got a picture, and man, I wish I could have shared it. I'll put it in the Discord for you guys because it's a good picture. It comes from a bar called Nick's over in Platteville, which is a college town over in western Wisconsin. And it's the one that's been going around social media. People packed into a small bar because they'd rather take the risk. They're not worried about the virus. They want to get back to normal life and they want to go out and see people. Humans are social creatures. The fact that we were pumped fear porn for 2 months, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, even Fox to an extent came out and told us for 2 months that we must be afraid forever. That if we step foot outside of our apartments and homes that we're going to die. That if we go to work that will kill our entire communities and that we hate grandma if we want to go out and do this again. They pumped this fear porn out into people. The trusted names in news told people that they would die if they left their homes. And as soon as people had the opportunity to leave their homes again, as soon as the law was out of the way and people had the opportunity to leave their homes again, they left. They went out. They saw each other. They enjoyed each other's company. They did great things. They overcame the fear. Because in reality, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. To quote a great man, there's the word I was looking for. So, good on these people. This restores my faith in humanity because the mainstream narrative is breaking. And people want to be people rather than sheep being led along by the mainstreams. And that restores my faith in humanity because it would be very easy for them to stay locked down forever just because CNN told them to do so. Good on the people of Nix, good on the people of Platteville, and good on everybody else who's gone out and started to explore their communities, have their vacations, and go back to living a normal life. That really restores my faith in humanity. Which is a shame because we're going to read Twitter trending tomorrow and my faith in humanity is going to be destroyed again. Well, we will be back here later on today. We will be welcoming Silent Caster, a Twitch streamer, over onto Ed's World tonight. So come and check that out. That's going to be a great conversation. I'm really looking forward to it. We got a lot of great stuff to round up and talk about from the past week. So hope to see you guys all there. And of course, we will read the live chat between topics. So get your live chat questions in for either me or Silent Caster as well. It's going to be a great time. Other than that, we'll be back here tomorrow with more news and the Twitter trending of the day. So until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.